Miami Community News, and you know what? I love Hialeah, and I'm with Marc Anthony, who's running for the mayor of Hialeah. It's pretty exciting. It's a real pleasure, Marc.
The pleasure's all mine, man. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm a follower on your Instagram. I just love all the restaurant reviews and the reviews about Hialeah. You know, we have a long history in Hialeah. The Millers, we love Hialeah. It's the heart and soul of South Florida. People don't realize that's the blue collar. That is what makes Dade County run. And it's pretty exciting. The population is incredible. So let's talk about you. Where were you born?
So I was born and raised in the city of Hialeah. To your point, in my heart, the city of Hialeah, besides being the center of the universe, is the greatest city in the world, okay? It's the second largest economy in all of Miami-Dade County, and a city that has offered endless opportunity to Cuban immigrants to be able to make something out of themselves, right? So when people look at the city of Hialeah, for us, right, the most important thing is that into the future, the city of Hialeah is respected and protected.
All right, so where were you born?
So I was born and raised in Hialeah. I was born in Hialeah Palmetto Hospital.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
Palmetto Elementary School, where'd you go?
So I went to Amelia Earhart Elementary, played chess in Amelia Earhart Elementary. They have a phenomenal chess club.
Okay.
I think it's been an A school for as long as I can remember.
Okay. Who's your favorite teacher?
My favorite teacher was
In elementary school?
In elementary school, Miss Castañeda. Okay, I'll never forget it, Grant. So Miss Castañeda took the time, okay, to really polish me as a student, right? And took the time to teach me life lessons that till this day I carry out in my life.
Wow. Middle school?
Middle school, I went to Hialeah Middle.
Favorite teacher?
Mr. Marrero. He was Mr. Marrero and Miss Donderis. Okay, so Mr. Marrero was my math teacher at the time, 6th grade. I'll never forget it. I'm a numbers guy, right? I'm a numbers guy. I'm in business. I'm not a politician. I'm a business owner. I own a real estate acquisitions company and a private equity fund. In short, I put people in positions to make a lot of money through real estate. And that math professor showed me mathematical equations that today I use, right? Because in business, what you really need is multiplication and division.
Okay, high school. Who's your? Wait, I just want to. Back when I went to elementary school, it wasn't called mathematics; it was called arithmetic. So I didn't know how to spell arithmetic. So nobody did in 4th grade. So my 4th grade teacher says, "This is how you spell it. Any rat in the house might eat the ice cream." That's spelled arithmetic. Now you know why I like ice cream. Okay, so all right, high school. What's high school?
High school, I went to Hialeah Gardens, first graduating class, 2011.
Wow.
Yeah.
The school is brand new.
Yeah, brand new school. We were the first graduating class, and there's been so much success that's come out of that school. That school is a phenomenal school. I'll never forget it. It was Principal Dr. Algaze, and he was a phenomenal principal. Great. It was great.
You do any more education after that?
Yes, of course. So after that, I went to MDC. Okay, I went to Miami-Dade College.
Which one?
So I went to North Campus and I went to Hialeah Campus. Okay, from Hialeah Campus, since you asked me about my favorite professors, I have to say that my favorite professor in MDC was Professor Harris, my anthropology professor. Phenomenal human being, huge patriot, someone that I genuinely appreciate and love very dearly. And then from there, I went to FIU. And then in FIU, I double majored in political science and communication and a minor in philosophy.
My brother and I both went to Miami-Dade and FIU.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about your parents. It's an interesting story because we talked about it. Your father was born where?
So my father is 81 years old. Okay. And my father was born and raised in Havana, Cuba. Right. And my father left the country when he was 18 in the transition between the previous regime and the Castro regime. Right. And what ends up happening during that time is a lot of individuals were frowned upon for wanting to leave before the Castro regime. So when the Castro regime is taking power, my father decides that it is best for him, right, and his future children to leave the country. So he ends up leaving the country, a communist regime, right? He goes from Cuba to Mexico, Mexico to Union City, Union City to Hialeah. But in that transition from Cuba to Mexico, it's very interesting because he always taught me to never, ever, under any circumstance, be tolerant of communism. My father is a wise man. He's 81 years old. He understands that communism simply doesn't work. So my father is not an individual that left Cuba and then went back to visit Cuba or went back to visit his home country or did any of that stuff. And he instilled those principles in me. And till today, my father has never returned and will not return until Cuba is free. And because of the respect that I have for my father, I, as well as my siblings, have never gone to go visit Cuba, and we do not plan to visit Cuba until Cuba is free.
Your mother, where was she born?
My mother was born in Cuba as well, and she came in the 80s
they did not know each other.
They did not know each other. No, they met at a flower shop in the city of Hialeah, right? Because my father is a professional photographer, and my father had his photography studio, an office, if you will, inside of a floral shop, okay, in East Hialeah, next to Sedano's, by 8th Ave.
Okay, there's a lot of Sedano's in Hialeah.
By 8th Ave, one of the first Sedano's in Hialeah.
Presidential just opened a restaurant, a store there, right?
Yeah. So they end up meeting at the flower shop. My father, you know, very, very good-looking, well-spoken, articulate gentleman. You know, I had a conversation with my mother, and then they got together, and
the rest is history.
The rest.
Do you have any brothers or sisters?
We do. So when I say we, I speak because
it's a family.
It's a family.
Okay,
it's a team.
Brothers, sisters.
So it's a total of 7 siblings. It's a total of 7 siblings. Wait. Yes.
Together they had 7?
No. Oh. So my father has 7 children. Okay. And out of those 7 children, all of them are with individual wives that he's had, right, except for my younger brother and I.
Right. Okay.
Which are the only siblings.
And how old is your brother?
So he is 28. Yeah.
And how old are you?
I'm 31. I'm 31. But to my point of age, right? The most important thing that I want to bring up, we are going to make history for the city of Hialeah, Grant. Why? Because I'm going to be the first mayor of the city of Hialeah, born and raised in the city of Hialeah. And another thing.
Wait, none of the other mayors?
None of them.
None of them. They were born somewhere else.
They were born either in Cuba, in New York, whatever the case is. I am going to be the first mayor of the city of Hialeah, born and raised in the city of Hialeah.
It does make a difference.
It makes a huge difference.
Because you bleed Hialeah.
Of course.
So, well, let me finish the family route first. So, okay, so then your route. So you graduate college, then what did you do?
So from there, I went directly into sales. So my entire existence has been dedicated to helping people solve their problems through sales, right? When most people think of sales, they think of hardcore selling.
So what did you sell?
So I sold everything from diamonds, jeans, cars, absolutely everything under the sun has been sold, ethical and legal business always, right? But I've developed a very acute and interesting set of skills over time that have undeniably gotten me to the point in which I'm at, right? Leadership, high-level negotiation, high-level communication, tactical empathy, the ability, right, to touch people and solve problems while creating relationships is one of the most fulfilling experiences in the world.
All right. So you're in real estate investments.
Correct.
What motivated you to go, I need to fix this. Before you answer that, I need to fix this. Hialeah owes $18+ million to this Dade County. They owe money everywhere. Why do you want to do that?
So we'll take a little bit of an interesting approach here, right? So what ends up happening is at the age of 25, okay, I say to myself, okay, I am going to make a transition into real estate, right? And I leave a very good, okay, when I mean good, I mean very good, high-paying professional sales career, right? And it took me 13 months and 18 days to see my first penny in real estate. Okay. Everyone thought that I was crazy. Everyone thought that they were like, go back.
Right. What was your first sale?
So my first sale, I'll never forget it. It was November 15th. Okay. And the check I received was for $1,500 after 13 months and 18 days of not seeing a single penny. Okay. It was a very interesting point in my life where I really learned about my character as a man, because it's very easy to be positive when everything is going fantastic. But when you have nothing to turn to other than God and you to yourself internally, and you have to deal with that tenacity and that perseverance of pushing through no matter what, I think it builds the character of a man. So then I go into real estate. I make my first check after 13 months and 18 days. I prove the concept. I nearly cried when I got the check, right? But I said, it's not about how much money the check was. It's about proving that the concept worked, right? So then from there, this is close to 7 years ago, right? At that point, over time, right? I'm at a different level now. I'm at a different position through the grace of God. But as a business owner, I own a real estate acquisitions company. I run a private equity fund. I'm a licensed agent and investor. But most importantly, I'm the perfect example of what the city of Hialeah can produce when a man works hard, keeps his word, but most importantly, put God in first place, right? When a man puts God in first place, he's not only leaning into himself and his own understanding, he's leaning into the higher power and truly what created the universe. So then to answer your question as to why I made that transition and that decision, right, to address Hialeah politics, I want to be extremely clear. The only reason why anyone should ever decide to run is because they look at the political landscape and they feel in the center of their hearts. I feel in the center of my heart that I am the solution that the city of Hialeah needs. Because at this point, Grant, the city of Hialeah doesn't need another politician. The city of Hialeah doesn't need another individual that's going to offer nothing other than empty promises to bring down the stars and the moon come election time, and then they get into power and then nothing happens, right? Being born and raised in the city of Hialeah gave me a sense of grit, a sense of mental fortitude, a sense of a chip on my shoulder that I'm willing to impose into the world to ensure that the future of the city of Hialeah will be bright. Because one thing that I will not permit under any circumstance is the city of Hialeah falling into the wrong leadership, which will in turn destroy the American dream for the city that I was born in.
All right, let's talk about good things about Hialeah.
Yes.
Now, I don't know lately, but at one time, when Raul Martinez was the mayor, it had the number one park system in South Florida. Are they still strong in parks?
So they're definitely not as strong as they were, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with culture and society. A lot of the youth in today's world is more interested in playing video games and being on the iPad and doing more solitary technological, developments within themselves and playing games. I think that a robust park and recreation department for the city of Hialeah is absolutely crucial, right? Because what ends up happening that most people don't have the courage to discuss, Grant, is that a lot of the skills, a lot of the life skills that are necessary to succeed, unfortunately, are not being taught in classrooms today, okay? They are being taught outside of classrooms in real life, particularly in sports, right?
Sports teaches you how to be humble, how to work with people, how to understand and how to take instructions from elderly people. So continue. I want to bring up the Marlins are partnership with one of the parks there. I'm not sure which one, but Marlins are pouring a lot of effort.
So it's Bobcat Park and Bobcat, right? You're correct. Bobcat Park, and the most important thing, right, is to your point, sports teaches the youth things that they aren't able to acquire anywhere else, right? Being a team player, discipline, mental focus, being able to take direction, all of that sort of stuff. So I believe that the youth is the future. And those that take the time to shape and mold the youth in the proper way to give them the necessary life skills to be able to succeed into the future will undeniably be a positive experience.
You know, I'm involved with baseball and a lot of organizations. And my motto is, we don't make baseball players, we make baseball owners.
I like that.
And when you become mayor and you're meeting with these kids, it's great to dream that you want to be a pro athlete. But when the numbers, the odds of you being a millionaire are higher than being a pro athlete. So you have to teach life lessons. And that's,
of course.
But transportation in Hialeah. They used to have a great bus service. Is it still going on?
So the bus service is still available, but we could definitely improve a lot of the transportation, whether it be by rail or whether it be by bus. The truth is that the city of Hialeah as a whole, Grant, it needs a lot of help. Okay. And I believe that it needs a lot of help for various reasons. But one of the most important reasons, Grant, is the fact that in this concurrent year, the city of Hialeah had a $575 million budget.
Wait, 500 what?
$575 million. Okay. That's $500 million. As a business owner, I recognize that is not a little bit of money. That is a lot of money. Okay. Grant, to the penny, it was spent. To the penny, Grant. As a business owner, I recognize that the city of Hialeah doesn't have an income problem. It has a spending problem. And that spending problem is what has Hialeah in the red the way that it currently is. And there is no politician in the world that can fix that. You need a business owner that understands what it's like to build something from nothing into something, right? We're talking about how long it took me to close my first deal. Last year alone, we closed over $21 million in assets. So when you have a city that's running in the red, yet you have more than $500 million in annual revenue,
there's a problem.
There is a problem, and there is a huge disconnect. And that is what I am going to fix. Because at the end of the day, one thing about me, Grant, I'm not running for the money. I'm not running to further my personal agenda. I'm running to serve and to help the city of Hialeah with the problems that it has. And right now we have a financial problem. We have a numbers problem. And it just so happens that I'm a numbers guy, right? So when I look at this, I say to myself, okay, this is a huge issue, and a huge issue that nobody has the courage to discuss, right? Which I am going to discuss, is the fact that whenever the city of Hialeah has an issue, or they need a work order, or they need a bid or a proposal, right? You have one proposal that comes in at $1.5 million. Then you have a second proposal that comes in at $2 million. And then you have a third proposal that comes in at $6 million for the same exact job. But because the third proposal is the brother's, sister's, boyfriend's cousin, they go with the third proposal. But at the end of the day, what they're doing is they're stealing $4 million from people like me, because I'm a resident, right?
And a business owner.
A resident and a business owner. And that, quite frankly, is not capitalism. That's not capitalism. So unless we elect the right individual that will have the ability to look at this math problem, fix the math problem, but also have the ability to negotiate into the future and existing contracts, then the city of Hialeah is not going to be the city that everyone so much loves.
So how is the Hialeah going to pay the bill of the county? I think it's $18 million for water.
So one thing that the city of Hialeah needs to do, and one thing that we will do under my leadership, right now we are in communications where we show a water savings, a water bill savings between 15% to 20% per household.
Isn't it Hialeah water? Why do you owe money to the county?
It's the wildest thing in the world. It's the wildest thing in the world, and something that as a business owner, to me, mathematically, it does not make sense, and something that I'm willing to look into, because the last thing that I am going to accept under any circumstances is for anyone, whether it be city or county, to be taking advantage of the beautiful little grandparents, grandmothers, and grandfathers alike in the city of Hialeah.
You know, it's funny you bring up the grandparents. You know, in the 60s, the Cubans that came in, they're the first immigrants that really made a difference in Miami. Now, since then, every couple of years a new group of immigrants. But in the '60s, it was we were a dead little town, and now it's the most thriving, most beautiful place in the country. But all right, so we got money issues in Hialeah, transportation, parks issue. But you have your own housing for senior citizens, correct? Is there enough of that?
There is not enough of that. We need more of that, right? Besides those issues, there is the water and sewer. Grant, I own a property on 49th Street that we recently rented out, okay?
For us common people, that's 103rd Street.
103rd Street. So 103rd.
How did that happen? Coral Gables, Hialeah, a few other cities, Miami Springs, you have your own street. Everybody else go this, you guys.
I'm biased. We're special.
But before you go on, I have to mention, you have one of the greatest Ford dealerships in the country, Gus Machado.
Gus Machado Ford.
You have Chick-fil-A at 49th Street, the Bows, Jose, and I forgot his wife's name. Sorry about that. Who runs Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
It's kicking butt. You got one of the top ice cream places in the country, Charlie's Ice Cream. The restaurants, and you had the #1 racetrack in the world. So there's so many great things that are going on. You feel it. You can eat it. Where else in the country can you eat 20 different nationalities? Only in Hialeah.
Correct. And it's a true testament to the cultural melting pot and that willingness to succeed no matter what. That's something very special that the city of Hialeah has. It's that Latin blood and that willingness to succeed by any means necessary. And if you look at the statistics, right? A national company like Taco Bell, right? Taco Bell had the #1 producing storefront on 49th Street.
49th Street and what?
It was 40. So 49th Street, they have two, right? The original location, right? The original location, right before getting to 16th, right? That original location was the #1 selling Taco Bell in the entire nation. All storefronts in the city of Hialeah, whether it be Cricket Wireless, whether it be Chick-fil-A, whether it be Taco Bell, whether it be AT&T or T-Mobile, whatever the case is, the #1 producing stores are always in Hialeah.
Well, what's the population?
The population is closer to 300,000 people.
And is there any city bigger? Is city Miami bigger?
The city of Miami is not bigger, but what I will tell you, it's the second largest economy in all of Miami-Dade County.
Hialeah.
But by land, it's a massive city.
Because you added on all this stuff to the west. Incredible.
Of course.
Incredible.
Of course.
Okay.
To this point about the water, this is a very, very important issue, okay? My tenants are filling up a pool, okay? 100-gallon pool.
Right.
The water bill comes back. The water itself was for $168. The bill as a total was $767.
Why?
Because the sewer, the drainage, they charged the drainage 2.3 times the cost of the water.
Why?
Because it's the most absurd thing that I've ever heard of. Right? And
they charge you to drainage before you drain it.
They charge you to drain it before you drain it, but they're not draining it because they use it to fill a pool. So imagine the people that are washing their cars, that are washing their boats, that are watering their lawn, that are filling a pool. They're paying 2.3 times more in a service that they're not using. And that to me is unfathomable. Right? Like that to me is one of the craziest things in the world. That and the property taxes.
Let's talk about some other issues. We talked about the transportation. We talked about the parks. You have no control of the public schools, but police department. Let's talk about it.
So the police department, the chief of police, okay, Jorge Fuente, he's doing a phenomenal job.
When did he take over?
So he took over under Bobo's leadership. But check this out. So last year, they did an independent study, okay, that showed that the city of Hialeah was the second safest city in all of Miami-Dade County, okay? And the most interesting part is that you have a population of about 300,000 individuals and 300 police officers, right? That's 1 officer per 1,000 residents, which the standard should be 2 officers per 1,000, right? So they're doing a lot, and they're doing a phenomenal job at that. One thing about it, within that independent study, it also showed that a lot of the crime that is committed in the city of Hialeah is individuals that come from the outside in to commit the crimes. So under my leadership, we're proposing anywhere between 100 to 150 new officers, okay, as well as higher salaries, okay, to be able to ensure that we're showing the residents, not that we're going to be doing more policing, but that we're going to have your backs. Because one thing that we're not going to permit is individuals from the outside coming in to commit these crimes. Not going to happen.
All right. So police chief. Now you have Hialeah has your own fire department, correct? All right. Yes. Talk about that.
They do an incredible job. The Hialeah Fire Department, I have a lot of friends that are firefighters. They do such an incredible job. They lead with their hearts. They're very professional. They're precise. They're on point. One of the best fire departments in all of the county, beyond a shadow of a doubt.
All right. Police, fire, public schools you have no control of. How are the public schools in?
The public schools are good. They're good public schools. They remember, it's a city that's predominantly immigrants, right? The public schools, okay, my personal experience in public schooling was phenomenal. I had great public school teachers, great public school leaders, right? Amelia Earhart Elementary, for example, that school has been and was an A school for as long as I can remember. Right.
You know, you brought up something interesting. Amelia Earhart Park. Everybody thinks it's your park, but it's a county park.
No, it's a county. That's a county park.
All right. Next question. Here's a tough one.
Tell me.
Who's your fourth grade teacher?
My fourth grade teacher, Miss Castañeda.
Third grade.
Third grade teacher was I couldn't tell you.
Fifth grade.
Fifth grade, Miss Carrasquillo.
Sixth grade.
Miss Donderis.
God, I love that.
Yeah.
I can name my first to sixth grade. The impact that certain elementary teachers.
Of course.
And of course, Mr. Ledway, that's his name. He paddled me in middle school, junior high, so I remember him clearly. Okay, so police, fire, public schools are getting better. You have some charter schools there?
Yeah, charter schools. There's a wide array, right, of public school. To me, it's one of those things where you mentioned that that has nothing to do with me, but I'm also not the type of leader that I say, oh, it's not my business, I'll just leave it to someone else. I'm the type of leader that if I can contribute to the success of something, I feel that it's my fiduciary responsibility to do so. Otherwise, I wouldn't be genuine and authentic to the person that I am. So although public schools may not be under my leadership, I am undeniably and unequivocally willing to take the collaborative approach to be able to assist of public schools however they think that we can contribute as a city.
Cities, people move to certain cities because of the police, the parks, and public schools. Even though they might send them to private schools, doesn't matter. Hialeah has a lot of high schools, a lot of charter schools, a lot of middle schools. All right, now this is the real test. Okay, I know this is going to be difficult, but you have to answer it quick. Okay,
let's do it. Before we start. Ladies and gentlemen, as future mayor of the city of Hialeah, the most important thing to me is ensuring that the American dream is alive and accessible so that the younger generation has access to the same opportunities that I had being born and raised in the city of Hialeah. I am the voice for the new generation, and Hialeah deserves the best or nothing.
The restaurant doesn't have to be in Hialeah, but it could be. Your favorite taco restaurant?
My favorite taco restaurant.
I know you got one because I saw your review.
I like the taco shop in Hialeah. That's very good.
Okay. Name your favorite animal. This is a flamingo.
So my favorite animal is the racehorse.
Hialeah racetrack. Okay.
You got the best horse in the race. I'm telling you right now.
Okay. Your favorite football team?
The Dolphins.
Oh my God!
Come on.
Okay, favorite. I know you got hamburger, cheeseburger. You name some.
Five Guys all day. Five Guys all day.
Okay. I go ahead. Your favorite hot dog place?
What is it? You know it. What's the name?
Okay. All right. The favorite. Who has the coldest beer in Hialeah?
I don't drink.
I don't either. You didn't know that, did you? Your favorite fish place in Hialeah?
Adrian Fish.
Where's that located?
So it's right off of Okeechobee.
Okay. A few words that represents Thanksgiving.
Gratitude, family, and the ability to come together in community, to be thankful for all of the amazing experiences that God brings down to us while we're living this life.
Favorite cowboy movie or cowboy?
Wow.
And Hialeah had so many. Hialeah had so many cowboys.
Clint, of course.
Okay, I know you have one of these because I watched your thing. Your favorite pizza place?
Jerry and Joe's.
Where's that?
100%. Jerry and Joe's in Hialeah, right on 1770.
Okay. Doesn't have to be a superhero. Who's your hero?
My hero's my father.
You got it. Okay. All right. Last but not least, the magic of the mix. Why are you going to change Hialeah, and how's that going to... Tell me, what's the magic? What are you going to do?
There is no magic. It's God's favor. But the reason why I'm going to change the city of Hialeah is because I am not a politician. I'm a business owner. And as a business owner, undeniably, I have the competitive advantage because politicians, all they do is raise taxes and promise. As a business owner, right? The biggest thing for me is solving issues. The moment a problem arises, immediately my brain is scanning for a solution. And that solution-driven mindset and that solution-driven orientation is what's going to ensure that the city of Hialeah has a brighter future for all generations.
Everybody, Marc Anthony's in the house. Hey, if you've got any questions, he's got his handles right there, correct?
Yes, sir. Write to us at Marc Anthony Salvat on Instagram. Any question, concern, or whatever it is that you want to vocalize, the biggest thing for us is taking the time to listen to every single constituent, resident, and message, because the biggest thing for me is ensuring that when I become mayor of the city of Hialeah, I never distance myself. Having a pulse with the constituents, having a pulse on the residents, and listening to the real issues is what leadership is all about.
Everybody, have a great day.